Hi, this video is about the first trimester of pregnancy for us as expectant fathers. Now, it's common knowledge that trimesters are three-month periods during pregnancy. And I remember one expectant father saying he needed that 9-month period in order to wrap his head around being a father. But because the first trimester begins at the point of the last menstrual cycle, it means that this is actually a little bit shorter. So we think about that first month of the trimester as probably trying to get pregnant and then realizing that we are pregnant. And so that's the point where we're kind of jumping in here. Those reactions that we have to learning that we are expecting, that we're going to become fathers. And as expectant fathers, we can experience a range of emotions. And I make this motion with my hands to express that we can experience a range of emotions between different polarities. That range between excitement and fear, joy and terror, commitment and ambivalence, or even what feels acceptable and unacceptable. And that last piece points to how as fathers, as expectant fathers, we might feel like we're supposed to be a particular way. But there's no one right emotional response. Our responses are going to be mixed between lots of these different polarities. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and that's perfectly all right. I'm not suggesting or encouraging that you should share things with others or emote in ways that don't feel comfortable for you. But it is important that we identify what's going on inside, acknowledge it, honor it, and work through it in some capacity. And so there are going to be some places where we're going to feel comfortable sharing those acceptable emotions. I'm excited, I'm joyful, I'm the proud expectant papa. Those can be easy to talk about. What's more challenging are those difficult emotions, the disappointment, the fear, the anger at times. Having safe places to express those feelings and process through them is really important as we're laying a solid foundation for us as fathers. Even in this first trimester, things are starting to shift. Being able to talk with our partner about what's coming up for us is important, and maybe it's what we've done in the past. They've been a sounding board, they've been a support, but things are already starting to shift. So we share with them, but we also share with friends, other fathers, family members, maybe our own father, uncle, cousins, or reaching out to a counselor, whether that's a mental health counselor or a pastoral counselor, to get a little feedback and support as we're traveling through this. As I mentioned, things are shifting with our partner. They may have been a source of support in the past, and they still are. But now we're balancing things a little bit more intentionally because we're both going through this incredible transformative experience. So together we can process what's going on in our relationship. We can talk about what's going on for us as individuals. And as fathers, we need an extended community. We need people to go and rely on who aren't just our partner. So already in this first trimester, we're thinking about expanding, strengthening our community of support. Who are the friends, who are the other fathers, who are our family, who are the mental health professionals that we can rely on. And it's not just for when the baby arrives, but it's for today as well, because we are already engaged in this transformative process. And we can hear in so much of this that changes are already afoot. And they are changing our lives, they are changing our partners' lives, and we want to show up for that. But something that's available to us, but maybe not our partner, is that we can step away from this. There are times as expectant fathers that we can almost forget that this is even happening, but it's not the case for our partners. So this idea of getting involved is really helping us stay in contact with the reality of this pregnancy and in the relationship with our partner. And they're not these elaborate gestures of love and support, but instead it's showing up for healthcare appointments, it's planning the house, organizing the nursery, it's reading or watching videos about pregnancy, about fatherhood. And being involved in this first trimester means we're laying a solid foundation for us to be engaged fathers. So when we show up for that appointment, we bring our planner because we're going to write down the next appointment. We're going to be a part of that scheduling process. When we're talking about that nursery, well, we've got some ideas about that, where it might be, how we might organize it, the stuff that we want to get. And we're going to choose what to read. Our partners are going to have suggestions, but it's going to be on us. Let's figure out what we want to read to help us become the fathers that we want to become. This is a lot of investment, and it's not all the time. It's the first trimester, it's early days, and we're still able to step back and let our minds focus on other things. And our partner too is going to have moments where they forget that they're pregnant. It's going to feel almost surreal. That timing, that flexibility allows a space to open up that we can explore what hopes we have about becoming fathers, what fears we have about this experience. This might be something that we invite our partners to join us in. as we explore not only our hopes and fears, but also theirs, to think about how we might show up together as parents. And it might not be just sitting down and having these serious conversations, but it could be these intentional moments of connection, going on walks together, having meals together, spending time together in supportive ways. And for a lot of couples, this can be a shift where maybe in the past they've gone out for dinner a lot, or they've gone out for activities, or maybe they've just watched TV together. Now, to quiet that space, to create an openness so that they can connect in new ways. The first trimester is also a great time to start connecting with other fathers. We go into this experience with so many expectations, some of which are based on reality and some are just these stories that we've heard. Being able to connect with other fathers, hear about their lived experience, can then inform our own. We don't want their stories to replace our experiences or to make us push the fast forward button so we get to some sort of fictional future. But instead, it helps ground us in a community, in an understanding of what might occur. This is also a great time to explore what resources exist around workshops or group meetings for fathers in particular. So much of the discourse about parenthood and about pregnancy focuses on the mother. And for good reason. There's a lot going on there. And it's important for us as fathers to see and hear how we might show up in these spaces, how we can show up in new and better ways. So finding other fathers, finding workshops that center fatherhood, then allows us to see how we might bring our unique identity into these spaces. And in some of this, you might hear that I'm encouraging that we as expectant fathers start to connect with other people, essentially sharing the news that we are expecting and talking about what's going on for us. There's no one right time to share this news, and it's something that each couple is going to want to decide for themselves. The old adage is that we wait until we're out of the first trimester because of the potential for a miscarriage during that time. On one hand, this makes sense because societally, we do not like to talk about death. But on the other hand, if we experience a miscarriage, we're going to want to be able to talk about this and get support of our loved ones. So a lot of couples will decide together whom within their close circle of friends and family to share this information with, particularly during the first trimester. These are the people who are going to bolster us with their excitement and their encouragement. They're also going to be there to support us when we experience difficulties, whether those are physical challenges or emotional. And as we share this news with others, we want to also tune into ourselves. What are the reactions that we're experiencing inside? Do we feel nervous, excited, a little fearful? What does that suggest about what's going on for us? Do we have a supposed to, that we think we're supposed to present this information in a particular way, that we're supposed to feel a certain way when we share it? And then inverting that, do we have a supposed to about how they should respond? Our parents are supposed to respond a particular way. Our friends are supposed to respond a particular way. And we have to be prepared that not everyone is going to respond the way that we think they're supposed to. The friend that we think is going to be really supportive might be distant. The grandparent that we think is going to say, "You're no good, kid," might say, "You're ready for this." We just don't know how people are going to respond. But we want to tune in to our reactions and what comes up for us when we're sharing this information. Moving towards that instead of away from it is going to help us move deeper into our experiences. And this last part is about showing up with our partner. We're both going through some pretty significant changes, and we want to make sure that we're staying connected and supportive of one another. This is a great time to start practicing more active listening skills to make sure that we're applying them consistently, that our partner feels heard and supported. There's going to be a lot of physical and emotional challenges with pregnancy, even in the first trimester. And so we want to validate the experiences that our partners are going through. And this could be a little jarring because maybe our partner has been pretty stable throughout our relationship, and now they're experiencing these tumultuous kind of ups and downs. And now we're in a position to provide that support, to assist them in managing maybe some of their irritability or their anxiety or some of their discomfort. And with all these changes, it's important to acknowledge that physical intimacy, that sexual relationship can also be changing during this first trimester. And we can still have a sexual relationship. It just needs to be communicated. We're going through changes. Things need to adjust. We're growing together. And so sex might look different now, even in the first trimester, than it did beforehand. And that's okay. All of this in the shortest of the trimesters. But moving into this, being aware of what's going on inside of us, connecting with those around us, being open about our experiences is going to help us lay a really solid foundation for the types of fathers that we're capable of being. And I hope that this is a little bit of that foundation for you. Thanks.